Dear beloved child, I know there are nights when your heart does not truly rest, even though your body has already lain down. Outwardly, everything may still seem to continue as normal, but deep within your mind, you are quietly wrestling with hundreds of thoughts that have never truly gone silent. You try to keep everything within your grasp. You fear that if you loosen your hold even a little, the things you are trying to build will collapse. The people you love will leave, and the plans you have carefully guarded will vanish like sand in the wind. So you carry the burden of all your tomorrows upon the small shoulders of today. Then wonder why your soul is becoming more and more weary. But my child, I never created you to live as someone who must guard the whole sky alone. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. As Matthew 11:28 says, is not a word spoken to those who are uselessly weak, but a call to souls who have spent far too long trying to do everything in their own strength. I see how you always want to know every outcome in advance, so your heart can feel secure. You want to see the entire road before you dare to take a step. You want to know that no pain will happen before you open your heart to trust. But faith does not grow in a place where everything is clear. Faith grows when you keep walking even though you cannot yet see the whole path. Remember the people of Israel when they stood before the Jordan River. The river was overflowing its banks in the flood season, and no one could open a way through those waters by their own strength. But the priests had to set their feet in the water before the river parted. Power did not come before the step of obedience. Power accompanied that step. The same is true for you. Many times, you remain standing still because you are waiting for everything to become certain before you dare to entrust your life to me. But I am teaching you that true peace does not come from being able to control the future, but from knowing who holds that future. A person's heart plans their way, but the Lord directs their steps. As Proverbs 16:9 says, is what I want to engrave deeply upon your heart today. There are storms I do not silence immediately, because I am doing something deeper than merely changing the circumstances around you. I am changing the place where you put your sense of safety. In the past, you thought you were safe when everything went according to plan, but then even one small disruption was enough to shake your heart. That is why, at times, I allow the boats you once relied on to begin to sway, so you may realize that what keeps you from sinking is not the strength of that boat, but my arm beneath your life. Remember the story of the disciples drifting on the Sea of Galilee. A great wind arose. The waves began to crash over the boat, and I was sleeping. The disciples panicked because they thought everything was about to end. But with just one word from me, the troubled sea became still. Do you see? The most frightening thing to them was not the storm, but the feeling that I no longer cared. Beloved child, there will be seasons when you do not feel that I am acting, but my silence does not mean my absence. Even when you hear nothing, I am still in that boat with you. I also want you to understand that letting go of control does not mean living irresponsibly. I am not telling you to stop thinking, nor am I telling you to let your life be swept away by the current. I am teaching you the difference between wisdom and anxiety. Wisdom prepares what needs to be prepared, then entrust the rest to me. Anxiety tries to hold even the things that are beyond its ability. There are doors you cannot open by human strength. There are hearts you cannot change by pressure. There are tomorrows you cannot see in advance. No matter how many times you calculate, and the more you try to hold everything, the more exhausted your soul becomes. Do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. As Matthew 6:34 says, is not a call to live carelessly, but a word that frees you from the burden of having to master everything in a single night. Beloved child, remember Mary, who sat at my feet while Martha was busy with many things that needed attention. Martha was not wrong for wanting to take care of everything well, but her heart was stretched thin by too many concerns. Mary, however, chose to be near me first. The world will always pressure you to believe that your worth lies in how much you can control, how much you can accomplish, and how many things you can keep from falling apart. But I tell you that your soul matters more than all those things. A heart at peace in me can pass through storms without being shattered. A soul that knows how to rely on me can stand firm, even when old plans collapse before its eyes. So today, my beloved child, stop gripping everything so tightly that even your own hands begin to ache. There are things that only truly live when they are placed in my hands. A seed must be released into the soil before it can sprout. A bird must leave the branch before it learns how to fly. And many times, it is in the very moment you stop trying to save everything by your own strength that you begin to see. My hand has been quietly sustaining your life for a very long time. I do not promise that you will never face storms again, but I promise that no wave will ever be greater than my love for you. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you. And when you pass through the rivers, they will not sweep over you. As Isaiah 43:2 says, is not a word for those who have never been afraid, but for souls learning to believe that even in the greatest storm, they have not been left alone. Beloved child, I know there are memories that still weigh down your heart whenever the night grows quiet. There were times when you hoped so deeply, only to watch everything dissolve right before your eyes. So now, whenever you must trust one more time, a fear rises within you that you may be wounded once again. I understand that hesitation. I see the parts of your soul you are trying to hide behind a calm, outward appearance. There are days when your lips still smile at everyone, but deep within, you quietly wonder whether you still have enough strength to keep hoping. But my child, I have never asked you to become someone who no longer trembles before coming near to me. I do not wait for you to be perfect before opening my arms to receive you. It is precisely in your most fragile places that I want you to learn to lean on me more deeply. My power is made perfect in weakness. As 2 Corinthians 12:9 says, is not meant to make you ashamed of your frailty, but to help you understand that where your own strength reaches its limit, my grace begins to lift you up. Many souls think faith means always being strong, always being certain, always being unwavering. But no, my beloved child, true faith is often simply that you still hold my hand while your heart is trembling. Faith is not eyes that have never cried. Faith is eyes still wet with tears, yet still lifted toward heaven. Remember the father who brought his demon-oppressed child to me. He did not come with perfect confidence. He simply cried out, Lord, I believe, help my unbelief. And I did not turn away from that incomplete prayer. I answered him. Do you see? I do not only listen to souls full of strength, I also listen to the faint cry rising from a heart trying to hold on to hope one last time. Perhaps today you feel your faith is still small, but as long as you are still turning your face toward me instead of turning your back and running away, that seed is still alive. I know you have gone through seasons when it felt as though every door closed at once. The things you prayed for did not happen the way you hoped. The people you trusted may have walked away. The plans that once filled you with excitement turned to ashes before your eyes. And in that moment, it seemed as though I had become silent. But my beloved child, sometimes a closed door is not punishment, it is protection. There are paths that look beautiful to human eyes, but if you continue walking in them, your soul will slowly be drained. So I stop you, not to take away your future, but to rescue you from a direction that no longer belongs to my intention for your life. For I know the plans I have for you. plans for peace and not for disaster. As Jeremiah 29:11 says, has never changed simply because you are passing through a dark season. Beloved child, remember Joseph. When his brothers sold him into slavery, he may have thought his life was over. When he was falsely accused and thrown into prison, every promise must have seemed unbearably far away. Yet those very doors that appeared to be lost were quietly leading him to the place I had prepared beforehand. If Joseph had looked only through the eyes of the present moment, he would have seen nothing but betrayal and pain. But I could already see the harvest ahead. The same is true for you. There are things making you weep today that one day you will look back on and realize that if I had not closed that door, you would never have entered the better place waiting for you. I never remove something from your hands without fully knowing what must later be placed there instead. And there is another thing I want you to remember deeply. You have been protected far more than you realize. There were accidents that should have happened, yet did not. There were wrong decisions that could have dragged you much deeper, yet I quietly restrained them. There were nights when your soul was nearly overcome by despair, yet the next morning you still awoke with breath in your lungs and a small ray of light sufficient to carry you through one more day. That was not coincidence, for he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. As Psalm 91:11 says, has been a truth covering your life many times, even when your eyes could not see it. I have stood between you and many darknesses whose names you never even knew. So today, my beloved child, do not force yourself to become strong in the way the world demands. I do not need you to walk as though you no longer feel pain. I only ask that you do not let go of my hand in the midst of that pain. Come near to me with all the questions that still have no answers, with all the weariness you cannot yet put into words, and with the parts of your faith that are still trembling. For my mercy is not reserved only for those who have become perfect. It is for children who still choose to return, even while their hearts remain full of scars. And the day will come when you look back on this journey and realize that what kept you standing was not that you had never been afraid, but that, in the middle of all your fears, I never left you for even a single step. Beloved child, I have never looked upon your weariness with eyes of condemnation. When you are weak, I do not stand far away, waiting for you to lift yourself up before I come near. I draw even closer in the very moment you think you have no strength left. There are nights when you silently battle thoughts no one knows about, trying to appear strong so no one can see how exhausted you truly are inside. But before me, you do not need to dress your soul in that armor of toughness. I know every fear you have never spoken aloud. I know why it is so hard for you to loosen your grip on the things you try to hold on to. Because many times in your life, you learned that if you did not protect yourself, you could be hurt. So you began gripping everything tightly, your future, your relationships, your plans, even things that were never yours to control. But, my beloved child, a heart that must constantly strain to control everything will slowly forget what true peace even feels like. I did not create you to live as someone who must carry the weight of the whole world alone. There are burdens that should have been laid down long ago, yet you still carry them because you believe that if you let go, everything will fall apart. You are like Martha long ago, running anxiously with so many worries that your heart lost its rest. Meanwhile, Mary sat at my feet and chose the one thing no one could take away from her. Do you see? Many times, what your soul needs most is not another perfect plan, but my presence healing the deepest places within you. Be still and know that I am God. As Psalm 46:10 says, is not a command for you to abandon responsibility, but an invitation to stop living as though everything depends entirely upon your own strength. There have been times when you prayed for me to guide your path, yet deep inside you still clung tightly to the direction you had already chosen for yourself. You say you trust me, but at the same time you quietly prepare your own escape route in case things do not unfold the way you desire. I do not condemn you for this, because I understand how great the fear of disappointment is within you. I know there were times when you hoped and were wounded. So, now, you hold on to a measure of control in order to feel safer. But my child, true security does not come from always having a backup plan. True security comes from knowing who is holding your life. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. As Proverbs 3:5 says, is not a command forcing you to stop thinking, but a word that frees you from the burden of having to see the entire picture of tomorrow by yourself. I want you to remember Peter on the night he walked upon the water. As long as his eyes remained fixed on me, the wind and waves could not drown him. But the moment he began looking at the storm, fear immediately caused him to sink. Even so, what I loved about Peter was not that he had never been afraid. What I loved was that even while sinking, he still cried out to me, and immediately, I reached out my hand and took hold of him. Beloved child, there will be moments when your faith trembles. When you look at your circumstances and feel as though you are about to sink beneath anxiety. But even then, I never take my eyes off you. I do not love you less simply because you are weak. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. As Psalm 147:3 says, is exactly what I am doing within your soul day by day. I also want you to understand that I do not force your heart to open. I do not enter through coercion or through power that fills you with fear. I stand before the door of your heart with the gentleness of a patient father. There are still places within you that remain locked because you are afraid of being wounded again. There are memories you have not yet dared to place into my hands because you think that if you open them, the tears will begin to fall once more. But my beloved child, I have not come to hurt you further. I have come to heal you. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. As Revelation 3:20 says, is not only a word for those who do not yet know me, it is also what I speak each day to children who are slowly closing their hearts because of weariness and disappointment. I wait for you to open the door, not because I lack power, but because true love always honors the freedom of the heart. So today, stop trying to become the savior of your own life. You do not need to stay awake all night trying to keep everything from collapsing. You do not need to appear strong before me all the time. Let me carry with you the things that have weighed heavily upon your soul for far too long. Give me even the questions that still have no answers, the fears you continue to hide, and the plans you grip so tightly because you are afraid of losing them. Then little by little, you will begin to understand that letting go is not the same as losing. Many times, letting go is simply the way your soul opens its hands to receive the better things I have already prepared for you. And on the day you truly learn how to rest in me, you will discover that what has kept you standing all this time was never your own strength, but my love that has never left your life for even a single moment. Beloved child, I want you to pause for a moment and look deeply at the things that have exhausted your soul for so long. Not every burden you carry was placed upon your shoulders by life itself. Many of them come from the fear of losing control. You have tried to hold too many things in your hands for too long. You want everything to happen according to the timing you believe is right. You want the people you love to respond the way you expect them to. You want the future to unfold clearly, so your heart no longer has to live in uncertainty. But the more tightly you try to hold everything, the more rigid your heart becomes. You begin living like someone who must always stay on guard, always calculate ahead, always prepare for the worst. And little by little, instead of being protected, your soul becomes imprisoned within the very walls you built yourself. I do not condemn you for this, because I know there were times when life made you believe that if you did not hold everything together yourself, you would be left behind in chaos. But my beloved child, you were not created to live in a constant state of defense like this. A door that is always locked does not only keep darkness out, it also keeps light from entering in. Some people believe they are protecting their hearts, when in truth, they are slowly causing their souls to dry up because they no longer know how to rest in love and trust. In quietness and trust shall be your strength. As Isaiah 30:15 says, is the word I want you to hear again today. True strength does not always come from tightening your grip harder. Many times, it comes from daring to loosen your hands in my presence. I gave you a mind to discern, to reflect, and to walk wisely. But when fear begins to disguise itself as reason, you will think you are being wise, when in truth, you are simply being led by anxiety. You will overanalyze, over-question, and exhaust yourself with hundreds of possibilities that have never even happened. There are nights when your body is tired, yet your mind still cannot rest because you are trying to solve problems that have not even arrived. But, my beloved child, human beings do not find peace by knowing everything in advance. Peace comes when the soul knows it is held in the hands of the one who never loses control. You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast, because they trust in you. As Isaiah 26:3 says, is not a promise for people who have never known anxiety, but for souls learning to turn their eyes away from the storm and back toward me. Remember Abraham when I called him to leave his homeland. I did not hand him a complete map of the journey. I did not explain every stage lying ahead. I simply said, go to the place I will show you. If Abraham had demanded to understand every detail before taking a step, he would have remained forever in what was familiar and never seen the land I had promised him. The same is true for you. There are seasons in life when the holiest thing you can do is not to gain more control, but to obey even while you cannot yet see everything clearly. Faith is not understanding my entire plan. Faith is trusting my heart even when you do not yet understand the plan itself. There are things I am asking you to lay down, not because they are worthless, but because they have become burdens beyond what you were ever called to carry. You are not the redeemer of your own life. You are not the one responsible for keeping everyone else together. You cannot force every door to open at the exact moment you desire. And you cannot make time move faster simply because your heart has grown impatient. Some seeds must remain hidden beneath the soil for a season before they can sprout. If you continually dig them up to check on them, you will hinder the very thing you are praying for. I am teaching you to trust even during the silent seasons, because many of the greatest miracles are formed in places where your eyes cannot yet see anything at all. Beloved child, laying things down is not surrendering in despair. It is the act of a heart beginning to understand that it does not need to play God in my place. When you lay down the obsession with control, you will begin to breathe more lightly. When you stop demanding that every answer arrive immediately, you will hear my voice more clearly in the stillness. When you stop forcing miracles to take the exact shape you imagined, you will begin to realize that I have quietly been doing things far better than your imagination could conceive. There are prayers I do not answer in the way you requested because I see what you cannot yet see. There are doors I close because behind them lies exhaustion rather than life. And there are delays that are, in truth, mercy, protecting you from stepping into a time that is not yet right. So today, my beloved child, learn little by little how to rest in me. Stop trying to carry all of tomorrow inside the heart of today. The grace I give is sufficient for each day. The light I provide is enough for each step. And even though you do not yet understand everything that is happening, remember that not a single tear of yours is wasted in my hands. And we know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love Him. As Romans 8:28 says, does not mean that everything will feel pleasant, but it does mean that I can transform even broken pieces into part of a greater story of redemption. One day, when you look back, you will understand that what kept your soul from collapsing was never your ability to control everything, but my faithfulness quietly sustaining you through every season of storm and wind. Beloved child, there are things happening around you that natural eyes cannot see. Many times, you think you are simply tired, confused, or losing direction. But deeper than you understand, a silent battle is taking place around your soul. This is not a war for land, fame, or power, as the world imagines. This is a battle over the light within you. One side seeks to pull you into forgetfulness, to make you believe that you are meaningless, to cause you to live without remembering to whom you truly belong. The other side is the voice of heaven continually calling out to awaken you from spiritual slumber. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world. As Ephesians 6:12 revealed long ago, you are not merely passing through ordinary difficulties. Your soul is being called into a deeper dimension of awakening. I know there are days when you feel a restlessness you cannot fully explain, not because everything around you is collapsing, but because something within you is beginning to awaken. It is the moment when your soul starts hearing a call beyond the ordinary life you once knew. And when that call reaches you, you tremble. You begin looking at yourself and asking, "Why me? How could I ever step into something this great?" Beloved child, many believe that only the strong are chosen by heaven. But I often seek out souls who know their own weakness. When Moses stood before the burning bush, the first thing he felt was not confidence, but deep fear. He saw himself as slow of speech and unfit to stand before Pharaoh. Yet I did not choose Moses because he was perfect. I chose him because, even in his trembling, he still listened to my voice. Beloved child, do not think your fear disappoints me. Many times, that trembling itself is evidence that your soul has begun to recognize the holiness of what I am calling you into. There are people who have walked in darkness so long that they no longer feel anything at all. But when true light touches the soul, it trembles. Just as Isaiah, when he saw the vision of my glory, immediately cried out that he was a man of unclean lips. Light always causes people to see their own smallness more clearly. But my child, I do not shine light upon you to destroy you. I shine light to transform you. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. As John 1:5 says, is exactly what is taking place in the unseen realm around your life. Darkness trembles before the light I am igniting within your soul, even while you yourself may not yet realize how great that light truly is. Your true enemy is not the people who wounded you, nor the words of opposition you hear from the world. Behind many of those things is a battle meant to make you forget your true identity. Darkness wants you to live as though you are unloved. It wants you to believe that your past defines your future. It wants you to bow beneath shame and doubt. But I did not create you to remain chained by fear. From the beginning, I placed within you the breath of life and the imprint of heaven itself. Perhaps today you cannot yet see the fullness of that truth, but heaven saw it before you were even born. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. As Jeremiah 1:5 says, was not spoken only to a prophet long ago. It is also what I am speaking over you today. I want you to remember Gideon. When I called him a mighty warrior, he was still hiding in a winepress because of fear. His own eyes saw only weakness, but I saw the spiritual warrior sleeping within him. Do you see? Many times, what I call you to become is far greater than what you currently see in yourself, and it is that very gap that makes you tremble. But never forget this. I do not merely call you into destiny, I also give you the strength to walk within it. I never place a calling upon your life and then abandon you to figure it out alone. So today, My beloved child, do not run from the holy, stirring you are feeling inside. Do not silence the call within your heart simply because you believe you are not enough. The unworthiness you feel is not proof that I chose the wrong person. It is a reminder that you must rely on me rather than on your own strength. A spiritual warrior does not overcome because they have never been afraid. They overcome because even in fear, they still choose to stand on the side of the light. Put on the whole armor of God, as Ephesians 6 teaches, not with pride, but with faith, truth, and prayer. And day by day, you will begin to realize that this battle did not come to destroy you. It came to awaken you into the person heaven intended you to be from the very beginning. Beloved child, when my voice begins to touch the deepest places within your soul, many things around you will begin to change, not because you are becoming strange to the world, but because the eyes within you are opening to see what you once could not see. Things that once captivated you may gradually lose their hold. The noises that once consumed your mind may begin to feel empty. And in the midst of that change, there will be people who do not understand what is happening within you. They will look upon your spiritual hunger with suspicion. They may think you are too sensitive, too extreme, or drifting away from what the world calls normal. But my beloved child, a soul that has been awakened will always make darkness uncomfortable. The natural man does not receive the things of the Spirit of God. As 1 Corinthians 2:14 says, because there are things that only a heart touched by light can truly understand. I know that at times even you feel confused by what is happening inside you. There are moments when you feel as though you are being pulled away from the old version of yourself. Yet you have not fully stepped into the new person I am creating you to become. That place of transition is not easy. The old things have not completely disappeared, while the new things are still forming. And in that intersection, you feel fragile. But my child, do not fear the shaking within you. A seed that wishes to grow must first break through its old shell. A house that is meant to stand firmly must first tear down its rotten foundation. I am not doing this to destroy you. I am rescuing you from things no longer strong enough to carry the destiny I have prepared for your soul. There are callings that are not heard in the middle of loud crowds, but only within deep stillness. That is why many times I draw you away from the overwhelming noise of the world, so you can hear my voice more clearly. Remember the prophet Elijah on Mount Horeb. I did not appear in the mighty wind that tore through the mountains, nor in the earthquake, nor in the fire. I came in a gentle whisper. Do you see? Not everything powerful arrives with noise. Some of the holiest moments happen when your soul becomes quiet enough to recognize that I am very near. The world teaches you to always rush, always prove yourself, always chase the next thing. But many spiritual victories come only when you kneel and surrender. There are chains that cannot be broken by human strength, but only through silent tears of prayer in the darkness of the night. Beloved child, I know the destiny I have placed upon your life sometimes frightens you, not because it is evil, but because it feels greater than what you believe you can bear. You look at your own weakness and wonder how someone like you could ever be used for something belonging to heaven. But remember this, I have never chosen people based on their perfection. When I called Jeremiah, he said he was only a child. When I called Gideon, he believed his family was the weakest of all. When I called Mary, she was simply an unknown young girl in a small and forgotten land. But my child, my power has always been greater than humanity's feeling of inadequacy, not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit. As Zechariah 8:4-8 says, is what I want you to understand. The calling upon your life does not exist because you are strong enough. It exists because I am faithful enough to complete what I have begun within you. And there will be seasons when I shake the very things you once believed were unshakable. Old habits, old ways of thinking, and ways of living that once made you feel secure will begin to crack apart. Do not panic when this happens. A new temple cannot be built upon a decaying foundation. I am rebuilding your soul from the inside out. Everything I tear away is to make room for greater life. There are connections I cut off because they keep you bound to your old self. There are doors I close because there is no longer life for you behind them. And though it is painful, all of it is part of a deeper healing process. Remember Jacob, on the night he wrestled with the angel. He entered that night with his old name, his old identity, his old fears, and his old struggles. But he did not come out the same as when he entered. After that wrestling, I changed his name to Israel. Do you see? There are spiritual nights when your soul feels torn between light and darkness, between the old and the new. But if you continue holding on to me through that dark night, you will not emerge as the same person you once were. So today, my beloved child, when you feel the skies within you beginning to shift, do not rush back to your old self simply because it feels more comfortable. Do not fear when the old masks begin to fall away. Do not panic when foundations built upon fear begin to crack apart. I am rebuilding your soul upon a rock that cannot be shaken. And though the process may sometimes bring you to tears, remember this: a builder does not tear down a house because he hates it. He tears it down because he can already see the beauty that house could become. In the same way, I see within you a glory that even you have not yet recognized. Beloved child, I am not surprised by the trembling in your heart as you begin to understand that heaven's calling is not merely a gentle comfort, but a journey of deep transformation. There are many who want glory but do not want to pass through change. They desire light, yet fear leaving behind the familiar darkness. But your soul has begun to realize that spiritual destiny is not simply about receiving blessings. It is an invitation into maturity. And because you understand this, you are afraid. You know that if you truly follow my calling, there are things within you that must die: hidden pride, old habits, the masks that once helped you hide your pain, and even the part of your ego that constantly longs to control and exalt itself. But my beloved child, a seed cannot become a tree unless it first breaks open beneath the soil. Unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it remains alone. But if it dies, it bears much fruit. As John 12:24 says, is the path of spiritual life. I know there are moments when you want to run from that process, not because you do not love me, but because you fear losing the familiar version of yourself. There are things that continue hurting you, yet you still cling to them simply because they are familiar. But my calling always draws your soul out of its place of comfort and into the place where true life exists. When I called Peter out of the boat, the first thing he had to leave behind was not the sea, but his old sense of safety. When I called Matthew, he had to rise from the tax collector's table and leave his old life behind. Heaven's calling always comes with surrender, not to take away your true self, but to free you from the chains that keep your soul smaller than what I created it to become. Beloved child, understand that the greatest battle of your life does not always come from outward circumstances. There are people who conquer the whole world yet are defeated within their own minds. There are battles no one else can see, yet they determine the direction of an entire soul. Darkness rarely appears in a form that is easy to recognize. More often, it comes as a quiet voice inside your mind, gently planting a question, a doubt, or a feeling of worthlessness. It causes you to think that you have been forgotten, that you are not good enough, that your past is too filled with failures for you to ever be used for anything holy. And if you begin believing those voices, little by little, your soul will be pulled away from the light without you even realizing it. From the very beginning in the Garden of Eden, the enemy used this same strategy. It did not begin with overwhelming force, but with a question. Did God really say that? Do you see? Darkness always tries to plant doubt before it plants destruction. It knows that if it can make you question my heart, it can shake the foundation of your faith. And even today, there are moments when it whispers to you that I have forgotten you, that your prayers are useless, that you will never truly change. But my beloved child, do not let the voice of darkness become louder than the truth I have spoken over your life. There is therefore now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. As Romans 8:1 says, is a truth far stronger than every accusation echoing inside your mind. I want you to understand that spiritual warfare does not happen only in dramatic moments. It exists within the small decisions of everyday life. When you desire to pray, yet are pulled into distraction. When you want to forgive, but old memories rise up again. When you long to love, but past wounds cause your heart to close. When you try to stand up again, but the weariness inside whispers that you should give up. That is where two kingdoms are battling for the direction of your heart. And the enemy knows one thing very well. If it cannot destroy you immediately, it will try to make you slowly grow cold. It will weary you long enough that you stop praying, stop hoping, and stop believing that your life still carries meaning in my hands. But my child, I do not send you into this battle alone. I do not call you to fight in your own strength. Remember David, when he stood before Goliath. People saw only a young shepherd boy facing a terrifying giant. But David understood that the battle did not belong to human strength. He stepped forward not wearing Saul's armor, but clothed in trust in me. The same is true for you. There are giants in your mind today that seem enormous. Fear, shame, doubt, and lingering disappointment. But they are not greater than me. The weapons we fight with are not weapons of the flesh, but have divine power to demolish strongholds. As 2 Corinthians 10:4 says, is a reminder that true victory begins within. So today, do not be afraid when you realize you are in the midst of spiritual warfare. The frightening thing is not the battle itself. The frightening thing is remaining asleep while your soul is being pulled away from the light. And even when you feel weak, remember that weakness placed into my hands can become great strength. Do not believe the voice that says you have been abandoned. Do not believe the whisper telling you that you are too broken to be restored. I called your name before darkness ever knew you. I loved you before you even knew how to love me. And if today you still hunger for the light, if you still ache to draw closer to me, then that alone is already a sign that my spirit is still alive and moving within your soul. Beloved child, do not let the trembling within your heart cause you to turn away from the calling I am placing upon your life. The anxiety you feel is not always a sign of weakness. Many times it is evidence that your soul has begun to realize it is standing before something greater than itself. A person who no longer feels anything will no longer tremble before holiness. But you still tremble. You still wrestle within. You still long to walk rightly within my will. And that itself shows that my spirit is still moving inside you. So instead of running from that fear, bring it before me as an offering of honesty. Let the nights when you do not understand what is happening become the place where you learn to pray more deeply. Let the moments when you feel insufficient become the place where you discover that my grace is sufficient for you. My power is made perfect in weakness. As 2 Corinthians 12:9 says, is not merely a comfort for the defeated. It is the key that opens the door into true spiritual strength. Beloved child, a seed cannot bring forth new life if it insists on keeping its old form unchanged. It must break open in the darkness of the soil before it can reach the light. Your soul is no different. There are limits within you that must be broken. There are old ways of thinking that must die. There are garments of fear, insecurity, and control that must be removed before you can walk into the freedom I have prepared for you. But do not mistake that breaking for destruction. When the potter molds the clay, the old vessel may lose its original shape. Yet the purpose is not to destroy it, but to create something more beautiful. I am doing the same with you. The seasons when you feel pressed down, refined, and stripped of familiar supports are often the very moments when I am preparing your soul for something greater ahead. Do not wait until you feel completely ready before you begin to walk. If Moses had waited until he no longer felt fear before returning to Egypt, he would never have gone. If Esther had waited until everything felt safe before stepping forward to save her people, she would have remained silent in the palace forever. Do you see? Heaven's calling is not carried by confidence in human ability, but by surrender to my grace. My grace is sufficient for you is not merely a verse for moments of weakness. It is the foundation upon which you step into your destiny. I do not require you to be strong before I can use you. I only ask that you be willing for me to be strong through you. There will be days when you want to control everything because you believe it will make you safer. But my beloved child, spiritual victory does not come when you grip everything tightly in your hands. Victory comes when you learn how to hand the steering wheel back to me. A child sleeps peacefully not because they know how to command the storm, but because they know their father is watching over the night. The same is true for you. There are battles you cannot win by thinking harder, calculating more, or striving with greater effort. They are won only when you kneel down and allow me to fight for you. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. As Exodus 14:14 says, is the word I want to place into your soul today. I know there are times when you pray and the heavens seem silent. You call upon my name, but do not hear an answer immediately. And in that silence, the enemy will try to whisper that I have forgotten you. But my child, do not confuse silence with absence. When a soldier is being trained for battle, there are moments when the commander steps back into silence, so the soldier may learn to stand firm by faith rather than by emotion. I am doing the same with you. There are seasons when I do not show you everything I am doing, because I am teaching you to walk by faith and not merely by what your eyes can see or your ears can hear. The righteous shall live by faith. As Romans 1:17 says, is not simply a beautiful phrase, it is the pathway of a mature soul. Remember Joseph in the prison cell. For many years, he saw no sign that my promises were coming to pass. Yet, in that dark place, I was preparing him for the throne that awaited him. To natural eyes, the prison looked like heaven's silence. But, in truth, it was the forge of destiny. Beloved child, perhaps today you still do not understand why you must walk through silent, long periods of waiting and prolonged inner battles, but I have never abandoned you within them. Even when you cannot feel me, my hand is still working more deeply than you can see. So today, do not fear the limits within you that are breaking apart. Do not fear when I pull you away from places that once made you feel safe, but kept your soul small. Do not fear when I allow spiritual battles to arise, because I do not bring you into the battlefield to destroy you. I bring you there so you may discover who you truly are in me. And day by day, you will learn that the greatest strength is not found in never trembling with fear, but in choosing to trust that I am holding your hand and will never let you go in the middle of the battle. Beloved child, I know there are times when the calling before you makes your heart tremble. You look at the journey I have set before you and feel far too small to continue. There are nights when you ask me to remove every fear, every anxiety, every fragile feeling that leaves your soul weary. But my child, many times the way I save you is not by instantly removing the trembling, but by teaching you how to stand firm within it. A child does not learn to walk by being carried forever in the arms of their father. There comes a moment when the father gently sets the child down so those small feet may learn to touch the ground, learn to keep balance, and learn to rise again after stumbling. I am doing the same with your soul, not because I desire to see you suffer, but because I know you were created for more than a life curled up in fear. I do not promise that you will never pass through storms, but I do promise that storms will no longer have the authority to define who you truly are. There are people who feel safe only when everything around them is calm. But the moment the wind begins to rise, their hearts immediately fall apart. I do not want you to build your life upon the fragile stability of circumstances. I want you to be established upon a rock that cannot be shaken. That is why there are times when I do not calm the sea immediately. I allow you to learn how to see me in the middle of the storm. When the disciples panicked upon the Sea of Galilee, what astonished them was not only that I calmed the storm, but that I was able to sleep peacefully within it. Do you see? True peace does not come from the absence of storms. It comes from knowing who is present within the boat of your life. Beloved child, do not think that fear itself is failure. There are people who have never walked far enough to face real fear. But when you begin drawing closer to the destiny I have prepared for you, your soul will feel the weight of it. And it is there that you are given the opportunity to learn one of the deepest truths. Courage is not the loud cry of someone who has never trembled. Courage is the step that continues forward even while the knees are shaking. It is the small prayer still whispered in the middle of the night. It is your hand still holding onto mine, even when you cannot yet see the dawn ahead. God chose the weak things of the world to shame the strong. As 1 Corinthians 1:27 says, is often how I work. I do not require you to become someone without emotions. I desire for you to become someone who knows how to bring every emotion back into my light. There are fears you once saw as enemies, but one day you will understand that they became doors leading you into a deeper dimension of faith. If you had never felt powerless, perhaps you would never have learned how to pray so deeply. If every earthly support had never been shaken, perhaps you would never have discovered that I alone am the true rock beneath your feet. Remember David when he stood before Goliath. Surely he felt the weight of fear when he looked at that giant. But it was in that very moment that he learned how to rely on me instead of depending on the armor of men. If David had trusted only in his own strength, he would have fled like everyone else. But he stepped forward with the certainty that the battle belonged to me. The same is true for you. My beloved child, there are giants in your life today not to destroy you, but to reveal to you that I am greater than everything standing before you. I want you to begin seeing the intervention of heaven with new eyes. That intervention does not always arrive like lightning tearing across the sky or a miracle instantly changing circumstances. Many times, the greatest intervention is simply that I quietly keep your soul from collapsing. There were nights when you thought you could endure no more. Yet the next morning, you still rose again. There were moments when your heart shattered. Yet deep inside, there remained a small light that refused to go out. That was not your own strength. That was me sustaining you in silence. My grace is sufficient for you is not only a promise for easy days, it is the strength that enables you to keep walking even when you no longer feel strong at all. And the day will come when you look back on the battles of today with different eyes. You will realize that there were prayers I did not answer in the way you expected because I was doing something deeper than merely rescuing you from circumstances. I was rescuing you from the dominion of fear. For if I simply removed everything that caused you to tremble without healing your soul at its root, you would spend your entire life depending on peaceful circumstances in order to feel peace within. But I desire to give you a freedom far greater than that. I want you to be able to stand in the middle of storms while your heart still belongs to the light. So today, my beloved child, do not despise the seasons that cause you to tremble. Do not view every inner battle as proof that I have abandoned you. Many times, It is in your weakest places that I am forming the most enduring strength within you. And one day, you will kneel with tears of gratitude and say, Father, thank you for not always removing me from the storm, but for transforming me into someone who could walk with you through it. Beloved child, many people in this world have misunderstood victory. They believe victory means being exalted above others, silencing every opposing voice, or watching those who hurt them bow in regret. They think triumph means circumstances becoming entirely favorable, a life without tears, pain, or wounds from others. But my child, that is only the perspective of people still bound by the flesh. The victory heaven calls glory is revealed in a very different way. It is when your soul still carries light through the darkest days. It is when your heart remains tender even after life has wounded it many times. It is when you are misunderstood yet refuse to let bitterness grow within you. It is when you kneel to pray even in the night, when your eyes cannot yet see a single ray of hope ahead. I have seen the silent battles you endured that no one else ever knew about. There were times when you wanted to give up because you were so exhausted. There were moments when your soul simply wanted to close itself off to avoid being hurt again. Yet in the middle of all that brokenness, something within you still kept turning toward the light. You still prayed while tears were falling. You still sought me while your heart was full of questions. You still tried to love even after being wounded many times. Beloved child, that is the sign of a soul overcoming in heaven's way. For darkness does not truly win when it makes you cry. It only wins when it causes your heart to grow cold and hopeless. But you still hunger for life. You still long to move toward me. And that itself proves that the light is still burning within you. Remember Job. He lost his possessions, his family, his health, and even the people around him could not understand the depth of his pain. To worldly eyes, his life seemed like complete failure. Yet, in the middle of ashes and suffering, Job still declared, Though he slay me, yet will I trust in him. Do you see? Job's greatest victory was not merely that he was eventually restored double what he had lost. His true victory happened while he was still sitting in ashes. Yet his soul refused to abandon me. That is spiritual triumph, when circumstances have not yet changed. But your heart is no longer ruled by darkness. Beloved child, when you begin to understand the purpose behind the battles you have walked through, bitterness will gradually lose its power over you. You will no longer see the people who wounded you as the center of the story. You will realize that many times what I am doing is far greater than the offenses or betrayals you endured. There are storms I allow to pass through your life in order to reveal the true foundation upon which you are standing. If that foundation is the approval of people, then a single rejection will be enough to make you collapse. If that foundation is control, then one unexpected event will steal your peace. But if your foundation is me, then even storms will become the very thing that drives the roots of your soul deeper into faith. Whoever hears my words and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house upon the rock. As Matthew 7:24 says, is not merely a simple illustration. It is the secret to standing firm through every shaking. I know there are times when you long to see justice happen immediately. You want wrongs to be made right, and you want the wounds you have suffered to be acknowledged by others. But my child, do not let your heart become bound to the need to see others pay a price before you can feel peace. If your peace depends on other people changing, your soul will remain imprisoned in their hands. I am calling you into a deeper freedom than that, a place where evil no longer controls your responses. When you can stand in the middle of chaos while your heart still belongs to the light, that is when darkness has lost its dominion over you. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. As Romans 12:21 says, is the path of spiritual triumph. Beloved child, Spiritual warfare is not meant to make you hard and emotionless. It comes to make you someone who knows how to rely on my spirit instead of your own strength. There were days when you fought until you were exhausted because you believed you had to protect yourself from every pain. But then I taught you that true victory does not come from trying to control everything. It comes from surrender. When the people of Israel stood before the Red Sea, they could not open a path by their own strength. I was the one who parted the sea before them. Their part was not to create the miracle themselves. Their part was to walk in faith when I opened the way. The same is true for you. There are battles you are not called to win by yourself. You are only called to stand still in trust and let me act. And the day will come when you look back on all the tears, the long nights, and the times when you thought you could not rise again. And you will understand that nothing was meaningless. I used every wound to teach you mercy. I used every season of waiting to teach you faith. I used every storm to drive the roots of your soul deeper into me. What you called delay was often the process by which I was preparing you for the greater destiny ahead. For I do not want to give you only a temporary victory. I want to form within you a steadfast soul that cannot be shaken by any circumstance. So today, my beloved child, rise up not through the straining of the flesh, but through the certainty that I am with you. You have not been forgotten on this battlefield. You have not wandered outside the plan of heaven. And even though you may still feel fragile now, remember that the strongest spiritual warriors are not those who have never cried, but those who, after every fall, rise again and continue walking with me. You are my child, called, kept, and led into a light that darkness cannot extinguish. Beloved child, there are many people who know how to speak about light, yet have never allowed that light to enter the truly dark corners of their own souls. They may know many scriptures, and they may speak beautifully about faith, but when they face fear, anger, or hurt, they still live as though they have never encountered me. My child, I am not looking for a mouth filled with knowledge while the heart remains distant. I am not calling you merely to become someone who repeats my word as a memorized habit. What I desire is for that word to become life within you, flowing through your thoughts, transforming your reactions, purifying your motives, and guiding every step you take. Do not merely listen to the word, and so deceive yourselves. Do what it says. As James 1:22 says, is a wake-up call for every soul that longs to go deeper into the truth. The enemy does not tremble before mouths that only speak about faith, while their lives are still governed by bitterness, pride, and fear. Darkness has heard people mention my name for a very long time. What makes it tremble is when a soul truly lives in my presence, when my word no longer remains only on the page, but becomes the very breath of your life. Chains begin to break. When you forgive, even though your instinct wants revenge, you are living my word. When you choose honesty in a world filled with deception, you are living my word. When you continue to pray in a spiritually dry season, you are living my word. And a life like that carries a power that darkness cannot imitate. Remember me in the wilderness when the tempter came near. He did not come in a terrifying form as people often imagine. He came with whispers that sounded reasonable, with doubt, with temptations that made what was wrong appear right. Yet each time, I answered with my Father's word, not as though it were a magic formula, but as truth already living within me. Do you see? My word was not given to you merely so you could argue or prove yourself more knowledgeable than others. It was given to keep your soul standing firm in the midst of temptation. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of God. As Matthew 4:4 says, is not merely a quotation, it is the secret of spiritual life. Beloved child, I am not seeking souls who sound perfect in speech, yet remain false in their hidden lives. I look at the places no one else sees. I see how you treat others when nobody is watching. I see your attitude in moments of disappointment. I see your response when you are misunderstood. I see how you guard your heart amid temptations known only to me. For true faith is not revealed only in church services or public prayers. It is revealed in the small choices of everyday life. There are souls who pray long prayers, yet refuse to love. There are people who speak much about me, but never allow their hearts to be transformed. My child, I do not need spiritual performance. I desire sincerity. When you pray from the deepest place of your soul, even with only a few words, heaven still listens. Remember the tax collector standing at the back of the temple, unwilling even to lift his eyes toward heaven, beating his chest and saying, "God, have mercy on me." And I declared that he went away justified rather than those who considered themselves righteous. Do you see? What touches my heart is not the eloquence of words, but a heart truly open before me. There are silent tears cried in the night that carry more power than long prayers without life within them. Beloved child, when you live in obedience, my word begins to become armor around your soul. Not because you are no longer attacked, but because darkness can no longer pierce you as easily as before. There are temptations that once caused you to fall, which now gradually lose their power. There are words that once wounded you deeply, which no longer control the peace within your heart. Not because you have become stronger in your own strength, but because my truth is taking deeper root within you. Put on the whole armor of God. As Ephesians 6 teaches, is not merely symbolic language. It is the life of a person whom I clothe each day with truth, righteousness, and faith. I want you to understand that spiritual power does not come from a loud voice, nor from trying to appear strong. True power comes from a hidden union with me. A branch does not strain itself in order to bear fruit. It simply remains connected to the vine. The same is true for you. If you remain in me, my word will gradually transform you from within. Then one day, others will sense peace within you without understanding why. They will see gentleness in the way you face hurt. They will see light in your eyes in the middle of a chaotic age. And at that moment, your life itself will become a testimony more powerful than 1,000 sermons. So today, my beloved child, do not merely read my word as a spiritual habit. Receive it as living bread for your soul. Let it enter the places where fear, bitterness, and doubt still remain. Allow it to correct you, heal you, and transform you day by day. For when my word truly lives within you, darkness will not merely hear you speak about the light, it will see that light burning within your very life. Beloved child, I want you to understand that the peace I give is not like the fragile calmness of the world. The world calls it peace when everything goes smoothly, when no one opposes you, and when circumstances remain under control. But the peace that comes from me can exist even in the middle of storms. It does not depend on the noise of the wind outside, but on my presence within your soul. That is why, whenever you lose your peace, you are not merely losing a pleasant feeling. You are beginning to lose the spiritual position in which I desire you to stand firmly. Darkness always tries to pull you into chaos, anger, and panic, because it knows that a soul without peace easily loses discernment. But my beloved child, when you keep your calmness in me amid the shaking, you are standing in the authority heaven has placed upon your life. The peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds. As Philippians 4:7 says, is not a promise reserved for easy days, but for the fiercest seasons of storm. There are battles you cannot win through arguments or by constantly trying to prove yourself right. I have not called you to become someone who reacts to every offense. I have called you to become someone who knows how to keep their heart abiding in the light. When you allow anger to control you, darkness begins to gain ground within your mind. But when you choose peace in the midst of provocation, you are allowing me to fight on your behalf. Remember David when King Saul hunted him down. David had opportunities for revenge, opportunities to use his own hand to end the threat once and for all. Yet he refused, because he understood that true power is not found in destroying an enemy, but in keeping your own heart from becoming the very thing you are fighting against. The same is true for you, my beloved child. Some of your greatest victories will come when you refuse to let darkness turn you bitter. Forgiveness does not make you weak. Forgiveness frees your soul from the invisible chains of resentment. I know it is not easy. There are wounds that cut deeply, words that robbed you of sleep for many nights, and betrayals that made your heart want to close forever. But my child, if you continue holding on to that pain, it will quietly poison the peace I desire to give you. When I hung upon the cross and asked the Father to forgive those who crucified me, it was not weakness. It was the greatest victory of love over darkness. Love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. As Matthew 5:44 says, is the path of truly free souls. For when you forgive, you are not declaring that evil was right. You are simply refusing to let evil continue ruling your heart. Beloved child, there will be seasons when you feel as though you are walking among insincere eyes. There are people who smile at you while inwardly examining and questioning you. They do not understand why you are still standing after things that should have destroyed you. They see the peace within you, the very peace they themselves lost long ago, and it unsettles them. But do not let this pull you into suspicion or fear of everyone around you. I do not want you to live in distrust. I want you to live in discernment. Be wise as serpents and innocent as doves. As Matthew 10:16 says, is the balance I want to teach you. You do not need to be naive enough for darkness to easily take advantage of you. But neither should you allow hurt to turn you into someone who closes off their heart. There are people who oppose you, not because you harmed them, but because the light within you unintentionally exposes the darkness they are trying to hide. Remember Joseph. His brothers did not hate him because he had done evil, but because the presence and dreams upon his life made them uncomfortable. Light always disturbs darkness. But my beloved child, do not let the jealousy of others cause you to lose your true nature. If you respond with bitterness, darkness will have gained exactly what it wanted. I have not called you to fight darkness with darkness. I have called you to keep your lamp burning. When you choose love in the face of betrayal, heaven sees my reflection within you. When you continue praying through the night, even without seeing answers yet, that is mature faith. There are souls who believe only when everything is clear. But I am teaching you to walk like Abraham, continuing forward without seeing the entire road ahead. There will be times when you will not receive immediate answers. But if you preserve your peace, you will hear my voice more clearly in the middle of the chaos. For peace is not merely a gentle feeling. It is the throne I establish within your heart in the midst of spiritual warfare. So today, my beloved child, guard your peace like a holy treasure. Do not hand it over to every insult, every jealous glance, or every passing fear. Let me fight the battles that are beyond your strength. Your part is not to control everyone or silence every opposition. Your part is to remain in me, and then you will see that storms which once seemed sent to destroy you will ultimately become the very places where I reveal my power and faithfulness over your life. Beloved child, there are seasons in life when spiritual maturity is not measured by how much you speak, but by how well you know what must remain in silence. The world constantly pressures you to explain yourself, to announce every plan, and to reveal every dream the moment it is planted within your heart. But my child, not every seed is meant to be exposed to the sunlight from the first day. There are things I plant within your soul that must remain hidden for a time, so they can take deep root before they are able to grow through the winds of life. If you keep digging up the seed each day simply to show others, you will slow down the very thing I am quietly building within you. I want you to learn the wisdom of Joseph. When I gave him dreams about his future, he spoke too quickly to people who were not mature enough to rejoice over his destiny, and that stirred jealousy within their hearts. Do you see? Not everyone who hears the calling upon your life will understand it through love. There are people who come near you not to strengthen you, but to examine you. There are smiles hiding hearts filled with comparison and rivalry. They want to know what I am doing within you, not so they may pray for you, but so they may measure, compare, and even seek opportunities to distort the holy things I have planted in your soul. Therefore, my beloved child, do not open your heart carelessly without discernment. Do not cast your pearls before swine. As Matthew 7:6 says, is not teaching you to live arrogantly, but reminding you to value the sacred things I have entrusted to you. There are things that should first be spoken only in my presence before they are spoken before people. Many times, you become too eager for recognition, affirmation, or approval from others, and you allow outside voices to enter the place that should belong only to my voice. But my child, not everyone is assigned to walk alongside your destiny. Some people are meant to journey with you only for a short season. Some are allowed to see only a small part of your path. And there are others who, if they knew too early what I was preparing, would intentionally or unintentionally disturb the peace I am building within your heart. I do not teach you silence because I want you to fear people. I teach you silence because there is power in hidden communion with me. Remember Mary, my mother, after hearing the angel's message, she did not run everywhere, trying to prove what she had received. Scripture says she treasured all these things in her heart. There are promises that must be nurtured in prayer before they are revealed to the world. There are seasons when your soul must learn how to remain still with me, instead of constantly seeking others to confirm what I have already spoken. Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for Him. As Psalm 37:7 says, is the place into which I desire to lead you. Beloved child, silence is not a sign of weakness. Many times, it is the strategy of mature souls. A deep river does not need to make noise to prove its strength. And those whom I truly raise up do not need to constantly announce themselves before others. There are battles you cannot win through words. There are oppositions that become more tangled the more you try to explain yourself. But when you remain silent before people and cry out loudly before me in prayer, heaven begins to move on your behalf. There are doors that open not because you persuaded human beings, but because I touched them at the appointed time. I also want you to be careful with the urge to tell everyone everything you are going through, simply so you can feel understood. My child, not every ear is prepared to carry the weight of what I am doing in your life. Some people hear your words not to guard them in love, but to use them when it becomes convenient for them. Many times, the enemy does not need to destroy you through direct force. It only needs to make you speak too much before your soul has become watchful enough. One careless word can open the door for doubt, jealousy, and confusion to enter the very place where I desire to preserve peace. Remember Nehemiah when he rebuilt the walls of Jerusalem. There were people who tried to pull him away from the work I had given him through invitations that seemed harmless. But he answered that he was doing a great work and could not come down. The same is true for you. My beloved child, there are conversations you do not need to join. There are explanations you do not need to give. There are people to whom you do not need to prove anything at all. Let your life answer for you, instead of constantly defending yourself. So today, Let your silence become a place where my spirit can work. Do not fear that others may not fully understand your journey. I am the one writing that journey. Do not rush to expose every sacred thing to the noise of the world. Guard what I give you, like someone protecting a treasure in a hidden place. And at the appointed time, I will bring to light what must be revealed without requiring you to strain yourself proving it. Then you will understand that some of the greatest victories do not come from speaking endlessly, but from remaining still long enough to hear my voice more clearly than every other voice around you. Beloved child, I want you to learn the holiness of words. The world treats words as something weightless, spoken and then disappearing into the air. But in the spiritual realm, every word you release carries weight. Some words build life, while others unknowingly open the door for chaos to enter. Therefore, my child, do not take lightly what comes forth from your lips. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. As Proverbs 18:21 says, is not merely moral instruction. It is a principle of the spiritual realm. When you speak with wisdom and in the right season, your words become seeds of life. But when you speak too early, too much, or from a soul that is not yet at peace, you may expose things I am still quietly nurturing within you. There are people who come near you appearing to listen, but not everyone who listens truly understands. Some listen so they may support you in prayer, but others listen only to compare, examine, or unknowingly place doubt upon what I am planting within your soul. Beloved child, learn discernment. Not every open door is an invitation from me. Not every ear is worthy to hear the sacred things I am forming within you. Remember Joseph. The dreams I gave him were real, but revealing them before hearts that had not yet been healed stirred jealousy within them. There are promises that must grow in hidden places before they are brought into public light. I am not telling you to remain silent out of fear of people. I am teaching you the silence of wisdom. Fear causes you to shrink back and bury the things I want to heal. But wisdom knows how to protect what is holy until the appointed time. A farmer does not dig up the seed every day to prove it is alive. He plants it, covers it with soil, and trusts that life is quietly forming where human eyes cannot see. I am doing the same with you. There are things I am developing within your soul that, if exposed too soon to the noise of the world, could be wounded by doubt, faithless words, or human jealousy. Therefore, do not rush to explain everything I am doing in your life. Let time and fruit answer on your behalf. Beloved child, there is power in hidden communion with me. The world loves to display everything in order to gain recognition. But many of heaven's greatest spiritual victories are born where no one else can see. Remember Daniel. Before he could stand firm before kings and empires, he knelt many times in secret prayer. Before Esther stood before the throne to save an entire nation, she entered days of fasting and silent prayer. Before I stepped into public ministry, I spent time alone in the wilderness. Do you see? The greatest things in heaven are often conceived in the quietest places. But when you pray, go into your room, close the door. As Matthew 6:6 says, is not merely instruction about prayer habits, it is an invitation for you to enter the hidden place between you and me, where the noise of performance and the need to be seen by others no longer exists. There are prayers that no one but me needs to hear. There are tears shed in the darkness of night that heaven treasures more than long speeches spoken before crowds. And it is in that secret place that I transform your soul. There, the things you call weakness become anointing oil. The sighs too deep for words become the intercession of my spirit. The silences you think are meaningless become the place where I speak my deepest mysteries. Beloved child, never underestimate the power of a soul that knows how to remain still with me. The enemy often tries to pull you into haste, into the need to explain yourself, prove yourself, and announce everything immediately. But some victories do not come through loud voices. They come through a life deeply rooted in me. The more fruit a tree bears, the deeper its roots must grow in places no one sees. If you focus only on being visible, you will neglect the roots of your soul. I want you to learn how to write your prayers into the secret place with me. Not everything within your heart needs to be brought before the world. There are visions I give that are meant only for private moments between father and child. And then, at the appointed time, what I have nurtured in darkness will bloom into light in a way no one can stop. A flower does not need to shout to prove it is blooming. Its fragrance speaks for itself. The same is true for you. If you remain in me, then, in the proper season, your life itself will reveal what I have done without you needing to force it into view. So today, my beloved child, guard your lips with wisdom and guard your heart in prayer. Do not fear the seasons when I keep you hidden. Those seasons are not abandonment. They are the place where I am preparing you for something greater. And when my appointed time arrives, what has been formed in silence will resound like thunder across the heavens, not to exalt you, but to reveal my glory through the life of a soul that has learned to belong completely to me. Beloved child, there are battles that, to human eyes, appear to be taking place merely between you and another person. But deeper than what you can see, they are collisions between light and darkness in the spiritual realm. The enemy always wants to pull your soul into the reactions of the flesh, anger, revenge, bitterness, and the desperate need to win, until you lose the peace I placed within you. It wants you to believe that if you do not defend yourself, you will be consumed. But my child, true strength is not found in how fiercely you react. It is found in your ability to preserve the light within you while everything around you tries to drag you into darkness. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. As Romans 12:21 says, is not a word for weak souls, but for those mature enough to understand that darkness cannot be defeated by becoming like itself. I know there are moments when you feel compelled to speak immediately, to prove yourself right, to make others see how wrong they were toward you. But remember, not every battle requires you to enter it with words or forceful reactions. Some battles are won simply by remaining still in me. When the people of Israel stood before the Red Sea, with Pharaoh's army behind them, they panicked because they believed they had to save themselves. But I declared, the Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Do you see? There are moments when the greatest display of power is not revealed through human shouting, but through the peace of a soul that knows who holds authority over the storm. Beloved child, the enemy desperately wants you to lose your spiritual stillness, because when your soul becomes chaotic, you begin seeing everything through fear instead of through faith. It wants you to believe that the light within you is too small to withstand the darkness surrounding you. But true light does not need to argue with darkness to prove its strength. The moment light appears, darkness retreats on its own. I am teaching you the same thing. Do not allow your heart to be dragged into battles that only make your soul heavy. Some people are not truly seeking truth. They only want to pull you into their own chaos. But I did not call you to live by reaction. I called you to live by my presence. Remember me before Pilate. Accusations were thrown against me. Misunderstandings spread, and mockery surrounded me. Yet I did not try to justify myself through human effort, not because I was weak, but because I knew truth does not need to scream in order to exist. A soul that truly belongs to me will learn the strength of surrender. There are times when silence before people becomes the loudest voice in the spiritual realm. For when you stop trying to control everything and begin saying, "Not my will, but yours be done. You enter a place where no power of darkness can truly defeat you. Beloved child, spiritual warfare does not end when every enemy disappears. It ends when your heart is no longer ruled by fear, anger, or the need to win according to the ways of the world. A soul fully surrendered to me is a soul truly free. The enemy may create noise and stir chaos around you, but it cannot touch the deepest place of someone hidden within me. Greater is he who is in you than he who is in the world. As 1 John 4:4 says, is the truth. Darkness does not want you to remember. It wants you to focus on your weakness, while forgetting that my power is with you. I want you to understand that the greatest victory is not always changing every outward circumstance. There are people who achieve everything they desire, yet their souls remain full of unrest. But when you discover peace in me, even in the midst of trial, you have entered a victory the world can never take away from you. Remember Paul and Silas in the prison cell. Chains were still upon their hands, and the prison doors remained shut. Yet they sang praises in the middle of the night, and it was in that place, which looked like failure, that heaven shook the foundations of the prison. Do you see? Spiritual victory often begins when a soul continues to carry light even before circumstances have changed. There are storms that do not come to destroy you, but to teach you where your true refuge is found. If your refuge is the approval of people, you will shatter when rejection comes. If your refuge is your ability to control everything, you will panic when life moves beyond your expectations. But if your refuge is me, your soul will stand firm, even when the ground beneath you trembles. The name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous run to it and are safe. As Proverbs 18:10 says, is the place into which I am calling you to enter. So today, my beloved child, do not seek victory by becoming louder than darkness. Remain in the light. Do not allow yourself to be pulled into the bitterness of the world. Keep your heart soft. Keep your eyes fixed upon me. And keep your soul within the peace that I give. Then you will begin to understand that some battles are won not by defeating another person, but by refusing to let darkness steal the light within you. For when you remain in me, you are standing on the side that never fails. Beloved child, I do not see you the way the world sees you. Human beings look only at the outward appearance, at the things you do, the words you speak, and the image you maintain before others. But I look deeper than all those layers. I look into the place no one can touch except me, your soul. And my child, there are things within your heart that are slowly growing cold, even in ways you yourself have not fully recognized. Not because you have completely turned away from me, but because you have become accustomed to living near the things of me without truly living in me anymore. You still pray, yet many of your words have become repeated sounds without life. You still read my word, yet your heart no longer trembles before truth as it once did. You still stand among holy things, but your mind wanders through distant lands, and this coldness does not arrive like a violent storm that immediately alerts you. It comes quietly, like mist, settling over a field at dawn so gently that you believe everything is still normal, until your soul slowly begins to lose its direction. I do not speak this to condemn you, but to awaken you before that small darkness takes deeper root. For there are souls who still do what appears right outwardly, while inwardly they are losing life. They have become fluent in spiritual language, yet their hearts no longer hunger for my presence. They speak about love, but their eyes no longer carry mercy. They speak about faith, yet live by anxiety and control. They maintain the appearance of godliness while losing their first fire. Remember what I said to the church of Ephesus in Revelation, I have this against you, that you have left your first love. Do you see? What grieves me is not human weakness, but when a soul gradually becomes comfortable, living without truly needing me anymore. Beloved child, spiritual compromise rarely begins with great and obvious failures. It usually starts with very small things that you quietly justify by saying, "Just this once." A thought you leave untouched instead of bringing into the light. A bitterness you hold on to instead of forgiving. A habit you know is pulling you away from me. Yet you continue feeding it in secret. And little by little, those small things begin forming dust over your soul. The enemy does not need to make you abandon your faith all at once. It only needs to make you gradually grow cold, gradually indifferent, gradually less sensitive to my voice. It knows that a fire rarely dies out suddenly. It usually fades slowly when it is no longer being nourished. But, my child, I am still calling you back into deeper closeness with me, not back into dry religion or heavy outward forms, but back into honesty before me. I do not need a perfect version of you that hides the dark corners within. I desire truthfulness. Remember David, when he sinned and tried to hide it, his soul slowly withered inside him. But when he opened his heart before me and cried out, "Create in me a clean heart, O God," that was when healing truly began. Do you see? What blocks the light is not confessed weakness. What blocks the light is darkness kept hidden. Be holy, because I am holy. As 1 Peter 1:16 says, is not a demand that you become someone who never makes mistakes. It is an invitation for you to belong completely to me. Holiness is not only staying away from what is evil, it is allowing every part of you to be opened beneath my light. There are hidden corners within you that you have never dared to face because you fear shame, pain, and being truly seen. But my beloved child, I have seen all of it for a long time, and I still have not turned away from you. I do not enter those dark places to destroy you. I enter them to heal. The world today praises knowledge while losing spiritual wisdom. People know how to build great towers, yet forget the foundation of the soul. They speak much about freedom while remaining bound by the desires within them. They search for love while rejecting holiness, even though true love always leads the human heart toward purity. For my love does not only embrace you in weakness, it also transforms you out of the things that are slowly killing your soul. A doctor does not love a patient by allowing the disease to keep growing. I am the same. There are things I am touching in your life not to take away your joy, but to save your soul from hidden chains. Beloved child, do not fear my light shining into the places you have hidden for too long. Light does not come to shame you, it comes to set you free. Open your heart in honest prayer. Stop telling me only the proper things and begin telling me the truth about what is happening inside you. For I do not heal the mask, I heal the real person behind it. And the day will come when you realize that the most beautiful thing is not how spiritual others think you are, but how closely your soul truly lives with me. Then your prayer will no longer be a dry habit, but breath itself. Your worship will no longer be merely a song upon your lips, but a fire burning in your heart. And holiness will no longer feel like a forced burden, but the joy of a soul that is finally found where it truly belongs. Beloved child, I do not call you to repentance so you may live in shame or fear. I call you to repentance because I want to draw your soul back into life. A branch begins to wither, not because it is hated, but because it is gradually separated from the sap that gives it life. Your soul is the same. When you drift away from my presence, outwardly, you may still continue living, working, laughing, and speaking as usual. But deep within, a dryness will begin to form that nothing in this world can fill. And my beloved child, repentance is the moment when the soul turns back toward the fountain of living water before it becomes completely exhausted. Many people think repentance is only the feeling of sorrow for having done wrong. But true repentance is much deeper than that. It is when the soul no longer wants to keep walking away from the light. It is when you begin to hate what is killing the life within you. It is when you stop justifying small compromises and begin longing to be made clean again before me. Seek the Lord while he may be found. Call upon him while he is near. As Isaiah 55:6 says, is not a threat, but the merciful call of a father who does not want you to wander so far that your heart becomes hardened. I know there are things in your life that have slowly become normal simply because you have looked at them for too long. There are thoughts you once recognized as wrong, yet now you no longer feel anything toward them. There are habits that once pierced your conscience, but now you have begun calling them not serious. My child, this is the most dangerous thing about darkness. It rarely drags you into the abyss all at once. It gradually makes your soul comfortable with the dark until you can no longer clearly distinguish the light. A heart that no longer trembles before sin is a heart falling into spiritual sleep. And the frightening thing is not only that you make mistakes, but that you reach a place where you no longer feel the need to return. But my beloved child, if today your heart still aches when you hear my correction, if your eyes still long to weep when you realize how far you have drifted from me, then my spirit is still moving within you. A soul that has become completely numb no longer feels anything at all, but you can still hear the call to return. And that is proof that the door of grace remains open before you. Remember the prodigal son, when he found himself among the pigs and realized he was living far beneath what his father had intended for him. That very moment became the beginning of restoration. He did not return because he had become perfect. He returned because he finally understood that nowhere outside his father's house could heal his soul. Beloved child, I am purifying my people in this season, not with careless anger, but with the fire of holy love. A refiner heats gold not to destroy it, but to remove the impurities that hide its true beauty. I am doing the same with my church and with every soul that belongs to me. There are things I am touching within you not because I hate you, but because I love you too deeply to leave you living in spiritual coldness. For the Lord disciplines the one he loves. As Hebrews 12:6 says, is evidence of love, not rejection. The world today teaches people that they can live according to every desire and still remain at peace. They call light darkness and darkness light. They want blessing without transformation. They desire my presence while refusing to let go of the things that defile their souls. But my child, light and darkness cannot reign together within the same heart. Holiness is not a burden placed upon you. It is freedom from the things that are silently poisoning your soul. A person who has worn chains for too long may begin believing the chains are normal, but that does not make them truly free. I do not want you to weep only over the losses of this world. I want you to learn how to grieve when you lose closeness with me. There are souls who cry over failure, pain, and rejection, yet no longer weep when their hearts grow cold before me. My beloved child, ask me to give you a tender heart again. Allow my spirit to awaken your conscience before darkness hardens it completely. Create in me a clean heart. O God, as David prayed, must become the cry of your soul in this season. Do not wait until your life collapses before returning to me. Do not wait until everything familiar disappears before realizing that I am what you need most. Return while my voice is still calling you gently. There are times when I knock upon the door of your heart with love before I must awaken you through pain. I do not desire for you to learn obedience through brokenness if you are willing to learn it through surrender. And my beloved child, when you truly repent, do not allow the enemy to keep you trapped in shame. My blood does not merely cover your sin, it restores your identity. When the prodigal son returned home, the father did not leave him standing outside the door until he had suffered enough to earn his place again. The father ran to embrace him while he was still covered in the dust of his old life. I am the same. If today you return to me with a sincere heart, I will not reject you. Let the tears of repentance become waters that wash away the dust that has covered your soul for too long. Let my light enter the places you once kept hidden. Then you will hear my voice more clearly again, and you will once more feel the gentleness of my presence near you, and your faith will no longer be a dry outward form, but the breath of a soul that truly knows it has been saved, forgiven, and called back home. Beloved child, I see you with eyes completely different from the world. People often judge one another by what can be seen, by eloquent words, outward appearances, where you appear, or how much recognition you receive from others. But I look into the deepest place of your soul, the place no one but me can touch. I see the silent battles you have never told anyone about. I see the thoughts hidden behind your calm smile. And I also see the small cracks that you think are insignificant, yet are slowly opening the door for spiritual coldness to enter your heart. My beloved child, darkness rarely pulls a soul away from me in one dramatic moment. It does so through very small, quiet steps. One day you begin praying less and tell yourself, it's okay. One time you compromise with something your conscience warned you about, yet you still say, just this once. A small bitterness you hold on to because you believe you have a good reason. A look in your eyes that no longer carries the same love it once did. And little by little, those small things become like tiny leaks beneath the bottom of a boat. One drop of water may seem harmless and will not sink you immediately. But if ignored long enough, one day your soul will realize it is drowning in dryness without understanding how it happened. I do not say these things to condemn you, but to awaken you before your heart becomes hardened. For the most dangerous thing is not when you become weak and run back to me. The most dangerous thing is when you become comfortable living far from me while still believing everything is fine. There are souls who still go to church, still sing songs of worship, still speak spiritual words. Yet inwardly, they have lost their hunger for my presence. They maintain the form of faith, but the true fire within them has faded. Remember the church of Laodicea that I rebuked in Revelation. They believed they were rich, complete, and lacking nothing. But I declared that they were spiritually poor, naked, and blind. Do you see? The most dangerous spiritual coldness is the kind that still wears the appearance of godliness. Beloved child, I feel every step you take away from me, even when you think no one notices. When you wake up and your heart no longer turns toward me, I know. When you begin choosing the comfort of the flesh over the obedience of your soul, I know. When you remain silent before what is wrong, simply to avoid discomfort, I know. Yet even then, I never stop calling you back. Like a shepherd hearing the footsteps of a wandering sheep in the darkness of night, I still recognize your soul no matter how far it has gone. And my voice still speaks gently, my child. Return to me. The world today is trying to make darkness appear comfortable. It paints sin as freedom, calls compromise maturity, and labels rebellion as personal strength. It tells you that you can follow every desire and still remain at peace. But my child, every promise of sin is a trap wrapped in temporary beauty. Sin always begins with an invitation to pleasure, but it ends in chain. It makes you believe you are controlling everything, while in truth your soul is gradually becoming bound. Remember Samson. He believed he was strong enough to play with temptation without being affected by it. But each small compromise slowly stripped away his spiritual strength until he no longer realized that my presence had departed from him. The truth shall set you free. As John 8:32 says, is not merely a promise of knowledge. It is liberation from everything silently ruling your soul. Holiness is not a garment of morality worn to impress others. It is the breath of a soul that belongs completely to me. When you live in holiness, you are not living in bondage, you are living in true freedom. For impurity always promises quick pleasure but leaves behind a deeper emptiness. My presence, however, may require you to let go of what the flesh desperately wants to keep. Yet it gives you a peace the world can never create. Beloved child, I know there are things within your heart that even you do not want to face directly. There are hidden places you cover with busyness, with laughter, with spiritual activity, and with the image of being fine before others. But I do not want you to merely appear well on the outside while your soul is growing weary within. I desire to heal you at the root. Remember David. What made him a man after my own heart was not that he never failed, but that he knew how to return with a truly broken heart. He did not continue hiding the darkness within himself. He cried out, "O God, search me and know my heart." That is where restoration began. So today, my beloved child, do not ignore the small warnings of my spirit within your heart anymore. Do not call harmless the things your soul knows are pulling you away from the light. Return to me in the small things before the coldness grows deeper. Seek me not only in moments of crisis, but in the ordinary breath of daily life. Let my presence become something you need more than the acceptance of the world. And remember this, I did not call you out of darkness to take away your joy. I called you into the light because I want your soul to be truly free. For you do not belong to the chaos of this world. You belong to me, and there is nothing in this world worth trading your closeness with me for a fleeting pleasure that slowly steals away the light I placed within you from the very beginning. Beloved child, the world will always try to convince you that holiness is impossible, that living good enough is sufficient. It will tell you that everyone falls short, that no one can truly live differently in an age filled with impurity. And little by little, the world wants your soul to become comfortable with compromise. But my child, I did not call you into holiness to place upon your shoulders a burden too heavy to bear. I called you into holiness because I desire for you to experience true freedom. A bird was not created to remain forever in the mud. It was created to soar across the open sky. Your soul is the same. You were not born to be dragged down by sin, shame, and the hidden chains of this world. You were called to live so close to me that my light begins to flow through every thought, every decision, and every breath you take, every time you choose truth when lying would have been easier. Heaven sees it. Every time you swallow your anger in order to forgive, even while your heart still aches. Heaven sees it. Every time you kneel to pray, instead of allowing bitterness to rule your mind. Heaven rejoices. You may think these things are small, but in the spiritual realm, they are great victories. For every choice that turns toward the light is proof that the fire within your soul has not gone out. Perhaps you do not feel strong. Perhaps you still stumble, still have days of exhaustion and discouragement. But my beloved child, I do not measure your faith by whether you have never fallen. I look at whether you continue returning to me after every fall. I know there are nights when you cry, and no one understands the true reason why. There are battles you cannot fully explain with words. You grow weary from trying to guard your heart in a world that is becoming colder each day. Sometimes you wonder whether you have enough strength to keep living differently while the crowds run after what is easy. But my child, I never asked you to be strong on your own. When Paul pleaded with me to remove the thorn that caused him pain, I did not immediately take it away. I said, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." Do you see? I do not wait for you to become perfect before drawing near to you. It is in your weakest places that I want you to learn how to lean upon me more deeply. Pose for a moment. My beloved child, let your soul breathe within my presence. You are not alone in this battle. I am not merely a God who dwells in distant heavens. I am near to the broken-hearted. I see every moment you fight to keep your mind from falling into despair. I see every time you choose to rise again, even when you feel exhausted inside. And I do not despise those small steps. A father watching his child learn to walk does not mock the child for stumbling. He runs to lift the child up again. I am the same with you. I am not ashamed of your weakness. I simply do not want you to remain lying in it so long that you forget you can rise again through my grace. Beloved child, I am awakening my people in this season. The world is moving quickly into darkness, and many souls are asleep amid the noise of this age. But I am searching for those who are willing to keep their lamps burning through the night, not through self-righteousness or spiritual pride, but through lives purified by love and truth. Before I use a soul to bring light to others, I often lead that soul through refining fire, not to destroy them, but to remove the things that would hinder my light from shining through them. Remember the prophet Isaiah when he beheld my glory. The first thing he recognized was not his own strength, but the uncleanness of his lips. Then a seraph took a burning coal from the altar and touched his mouth. Only after that was he sent forth. Do you see? Before I place my words upon your lips, I desire to purify them. Before I entrust you with greater responsibility, I want your soul to learn humility. For a person who is used without being refined can wound others through their own pride. Do not fear when I begin exposing the things you have tried to hide. Light does not come to shame you. Light comes to heal you. There are things I remove from your hands not because I want you to suffer loss, but because they are keeping your soul from true freedom. A sick person often must allow the doctor to cut away the infected part in order to save the life that remains. I am doing the same with many souls. There are relationships, habits, and desires you believe are necessary for your happiness. Yet in truth, they are quietly draining the spiritual life from within you. My beloved child, there will be moments when the process of purification hurts. There will be seasons when I remove things you once believed belonged to you. But trust this, I have never taken anything from you without already seeing the greater thing I desire to place in its stead. When I close a door, it is not because I want to imprison you in lack. It is because I am leading you somewhere deeper, cleaner, and closer to me. All things work together for good to those who love God. As Romans 8:28 says, does not mean every experience will feel pleasant, but it does mean that no pain in my hands is ever meaningless. So today, do not fear the process I am leading you through. Do not fear the times I discipline you, or the seasons when I pull you away from comfort and ease. One day, when you look back, you will understand that those seasons of refinement rescued your soul from becoming cold and ordinary, and you will thank me not only for the things I gave you, but also for the things I did not allow to remain in your life. Beloved child, there are moments when you come very close to what is holy without truly realizing what you are standing before. You look with ordinary human eyes and assume everything is still normal, that as long as your intentions are not evil, everything must be acceptable. But my child, not everything that belongs to me can be approached carelessly. There are places in the spiritual realm that require reverence, listening, and a heart willing to bow down before stepping forward. The danger does not always lie in openly rebelling against me. Often it lies in becoming so familiar with holy things that you lose the trembling awe of my presence. Remember Uzzah, when the Ark of the Covenant began to shake. He reached out his hand to steady it because he believed he was doing the right thing. To human eyes, his action seemed reasonable and full of good intention. But my child, what is holy cannot be handled according to the ways of the flesh. The Ark of the Covenant was not merely a sacred object, it represented my presence among my people. And when human hands touch what I have set apart without reverence, they step beyond the authority given to them. Do you see? Many people do not fall because of evil intent, but because familiarity causes them to lose reverence for the things of heaven. Beloved child, I created the universe not through chaos, but through order. When I spoke and light appeared, the light did not choose its own path. When I commanded the seas to stop at the edge of the shore, the waters did not cross the boundaries I established. Everything in creation moves under my word. He set the earth on its foundations. It can never be moved. As Psalm 104:5 says, speaks not only of the physical world, but also reveals that everything I created is upheld by a spiritual foundation. The laws I established are not chains meant to imprison humanity. They are boundaries that protect life itself. A fish is not truly free when it leaves the water. It will die even if it believes it has escaped limitation. Humanity is the same. When a soul departs from the order I established, what appears to be freedom ultimately leads to chaos and emptiness. I know this age teaches people that they can define everything for themselves. Truth, morality, light, and even holiness. They want to step into spiritual things without bowing before the one who created the spiritual realm. They desire power without obedience. They want to touch the supernatural while disregarding the purity of their own hearts. But my beloved child, what belongs to me cannot be controlled by human will. No one enters my presence as though it were a place to satisfy curiosity or spiritual pride. Moses had to remove his sandals before the burning bush, not because the ground itself possessed mystical power, but because my presence had made that place holy. Beloved child, there are boundaries I establish, not to keep you away from me, but to teach you how to come near me rightly. A child may not understand why a father forbids touching fire, but the father knows what will happen if the child treats its heat carelessly. I am the same with you. There are things I do not permit you to enter before your heart is ready, not because I desire to keep you in lack, but because I know your soul must first be prepared before it can carry the weight of what is holy. I want you to learn holy reverence again, not the kind of fear that causes you to run from me, but the trembling awe of a soul that realizes it stands before the Holy One. This generation has made many people so familiar with spiritual language that they have forgotten. My presence is not ordinary. They speak about me with their lips, but their hearts no longer bow before me. They want blessing without surrender. They want to hear my voice without becoming still enough for me to correct them. But my child, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. As Proverbs 9:10 says, without that reverence, people gradually place themselves at the center of everything and eventually lose the ability to discern what true light really is. There are things you once considered harmless that I am gently showing you have opened doors for confusion and disorder to enter your soul. Not every spiritual door should be opened. Not every supernatural voice comes from me. Not everything that stirs your emotions is the presence of my spirit. That is why I want you to learn to pause before stepping into things you do not fully understand. Ask me first. Seek me first. Let prayer come before curiosity. Let surrender come before the desire for experience. Beloved child, I do not say these things to push you away. I am drawing you closer, but into closeness rooted in truth and holiness, not in the carelessness of the flesh. A person entering the most holy place cannot remain casual in heart. And I am teaching you that my presence is not something to be used, but something to be worshipped. So, today, let your heart learn silence before me again. Do not move too quickly to touch what you have not first brought before me in prayer. Do not allow curiosity to lead you faster than wisdom. Remember that every boundary I have established was born out of love and protection. And when you learn to walk within the order I have ordained, Your soul will not become imprisoned. It will be preserved in life, in light, and in the peace that the chaos of this world cannot take away. Beloved child, listen carefully to what I want to speak to your soul today, even if you have taken wrong steps, even if you have unknowingly opened doors that should never have been opened. I have not abandoned you. I do not stand on the other side with folded arms, waiting to condemn you. I am still where I have always been, closer to you than your own breath, waiting for the moment you turn back and call upon my name. When the prodigal son returned home, the father did not build another barrier to keep him outside. He ran to embrace him, while the dust of the world still clung to his clothes. I am the same. If today you realize you have wandered too far, remember that my mercy is still greater than your wandering. But my beloved child, I do not want you to return only through temporary emotion. I want you to understand more deeply what is taking place in the spiritual realm. There are doors you have opened through spiritual carelessness without even realizing it. Not because you intentionally rebelled against me, but because you approached holy things without enough reverence. You believed good intentions alone were enough. Yet in the spiritual realm, not everything that seems right is truly right. There are boundaries I established not to restrict you, but to protect your soul from things it is not yet mature enough to carry. Remember Nadab and Abihu, the sons of Aaron. They came before me with strange fire that I had never commanded. To human eyes, it may have appeared to be only a small act of worship, but what is holy cannot be mixed with human will. Do you see? Often the greatest danger is not open rebellion, but bringing fleshly ways into places that should belong entirely to me. There are souls who want to serve me while still clinging to their own methods. They want to enter my presence without allowing me to purify the hidden motives within them. But, my child, our God is a consuming fire. As Hebrews 12:29 says, that fire does not burn because of hatred. It burns because absolute holiness cannot coexist with mixture. I want you to understand that my anger is not like the anger of mankind. Human anger rises from wounded pride, from losing control, from the desire for revenge. But when I discipline, it is the movement of holy love, seeking to rescue your soul from the very things destroying it. A refiner does not place gold into fire to destroy it. He does so to remove every impurity that steals away its purity. I am doing the same with you. There are things I expose, not to shame you, but to heal at the deepest root what has been silently consuming your soul. Beloved child, do not fear when I begin shaking the false foundations in your life. There are things you call peace that are really compromise. There are things you call freedom that are actually chains wrapped in pleasure. And there are things you believe are good intentions that deep within are being driven more by confidence in yourself than by surrender to me. My child, sincere intentions are not enough to replace obedience. Uzzah reached out to steady the ark of the covenant with good intentions. Yet he touched what was holy without reverence. This did not happen because I am harsh or cruel. It happened because my presence cannot be treated as something ordinary. The world today wants to make everything subject to human preference. People want a God who only comforts but never corrects, who only loves but is never holy. But my child, true love can never be separated from truth. If I allowed your soul to continue walking into danger without warning you, that would be the true absence of love. A real father does not watch his child play near the edge of a cliff and remain silent just to preserve the child's comfort. I am the same. There are moments when I must awaken you through correction in order to save you from something far more painful ahead. But hear this clearly. My beloved child, every time you return to me in humility, I will restore what has been shaken. I will close the doors you unknowingly opened. I will rebuild the spiritual framework that has begun to lean through carelessness. I will teach you to walk more slowly, more deeply, and more sincerely within my presence. not with a fear that causes you to shrink back, but with a holy reverence that teaches your soul how to bow in love. Be still and know that I am God. As Psalm 46:10 says, is not merely an invitation to rest, it is a call into a place where the haste of the flesh no longer rules. I want you to learn how to pause before touching what you have not first brought before me in prayer. Learn to listen before acting. Learn to discern between the impulses of the ego and the leading of my spirit. For true wisdom does not begin with knowledge, but with the fear of the Lord. Beloved child, when you learn to fear me rightly, you will not live in unhealthy terror. On the contrary, you will enter into a deeper freedom. Holy reverence protects your soul from chaos. It keeps you close to the light. It teaches you that what belongs to me must never be treated lightly. Yet it must also never be used to destroy those who sincerely return to me. So today, walk more slowly within my presence. Let your heart become quiet enough to hear my voice amid all the noise around you. And when you sense that I am correcting or refining you, do not run away. The fire I use is not meant to consume you, but to reveal the true beauty I placed within your soul from the very beginning, the beauty of a person who knows how to live in the light, in holy reverence, and in a love no longer mixed with darkness.